coming. I call this workshop session to order. And we'll start with something on my part, although I would like from next meeting, the report to go under the meetings and not under the workshop, for the simple reason that I would like everybody's report to be part of the minutes. So for my part, I want to talk a little bit about grass clippings. Not very exciting. Apparently after Perry closed the site, the dumping site at the Eagle Street, there was a lot of problems in the village. I had many phone calls, I had even more emails, messages, you name it. People even stopping me when I was walking to ask me what's going to happen, how we can fix this problem. So I came to the board 3 times, and that was a big problem for everyone. Everybody understood the reasoning, and pretty much we didn't have any very good ideas. So after the last time, I thought about it a lot, and I came up with a proposal that I thought it was simple, easy, and was going to take care of the problem. Apparently, the main problem was not the residents of the village, not the taxpayers. The real problem were the contractors who took it upon themselves to dump there pretty much everything. And also people from other municipalities. I mean, we even had refrigerators, and we had cement blocks. You name it, it was there. It was a dumping site. It cost the village, I asked Perry, actually, to come up with an estimate, and the estimate was that over the last pretty much 3 months, we spent about $10,000 to take care of that. That is a lot of money. So I thought that maybe a good idea would be to open it for village residents for 3 times a week. 1 morning, 1 evening, 1 waking day, to accommodate everybody, 2 hours every time, with somebody to take, somebody to monitor, to make sure that only legal dumping is being done, only grass. I have to make sure that I say that, only grass and leaves, not brush. Brush is being picked up by the village from the curb. So that was about 6 hours a week. I talked to the attorney first to just make sure that this is something doable. The attorney assured me that this is a good idea. Actually, we fine-tuned it a little bit to make sure that people who were illegally dumping were going to be prosecuted. There is a law against illegal dumping. It's $250 and up to 15 days in county jail. So I talked to the chief. He fine-tuned it a little bit. He wanted a picture and the license plate number, so we know who they are. And I thought that was that. So I put it on my Facebook, and I sent an email to the board to let them know what was going on. To my extreme surprise, I had a lot of pushback. I had one trustee telling me that I didn't have the authorization to do what I did. I had more people from the village telling me that this is going to create chaos because I cannot direct the workforce. I went back to the attorney. I asked him for a legal opinion as to this matter. And I'm saying all this because the legal opinion was that I indeed had the authority to do it, and I'm going to ask Perry to start tomorrow. The schedule that we put together was Monday 8 to 10, Thursday 7 to 9, and Saturday morning I want to say 8 to 10, but I have to check that. So this is the schedule. Again, it's only for grass clippings and leaves, no brush, nothing else. and I have to promise that illegal dumping is going to be punished to the full extent, or prosecuted actually, to the full extent of the law. And one more note. I just want to say that following the laws is not a characteristic of an authoritarian government. It's an indication that this government has respect for the people and for the laws that govern them. So that's my report. Mrs. St. George.
I have no reports today.
Trustee Christina. Trustee Linden.
No, I have no report.
Trustee Esek. I'm going
Okay, yes.
seniority.
First off, this agenda, your presentation was not properly notified to everybody, put it in our box the day of, or whenever this was. We were sent out the tentative agenda, which was
sent
not
out
on
the
there.
agenda. It was sent out on the agenda. I sent it out to Lori.
The
It was
time
sent
was
out.
not, I'm sorry, I don't believe that time for 6 o'clock was on the agenda. We have 2 trustees that did not make this. That's not fair to those trustees, nor is it professional. So let's get that straight in the future.
I can assure you it was not intentional. Let me see what I got.
Regardless, we have 2 trustees that missed the presentation. It's not professional. It's not, it does not set good tone for our public to see. I don't know if this is this session to address the mayor's comments on the,
May I comment?
1 second, on the, would this be the time to comment back on the mayor's comments on the brush drop off at the DPW? I guess it would if she,
This is your opportunity.
yes. I think if everybody reviews our charter, it is very clear that the trustees, and I can recite it if you like, but I think we can all read our charter, that the trustees make the bylaws, laws, rules, and regulations, and the mayor makes sure it's carried out. So for the mayor to arbitrarily do this, and by the way, Mayor, I didn't say, you did not have the authorization in the email. I asked you, what authorization are you acting under? So.
Well, you
please be-
said this board has not authorized this action.
No, I
under-
said,
This,
under
I'm
what
quoting.
authorization are you doing this?
This board has not authorized this action. Under what authority, Mayor, are you acting under?
That's correct, under what
Okay,
authority
this is
you are
your,
not.
this is your quote.
So,
Yes.
I think if we all review our charter, and I could bring out the sections if the rest of the board would like, it is very
That's why
clear
we
that
have
this
an
is
attorney.
totally inappropriate and wrong, and you cannot appropriate funds, and.
So I'm going to ask you something. When we have a water main break, are you authorizing any funds before you send Perry to do it?
That's an emergency. This is
That
not
is an emergency.
No.
I came to you 3 times.
This is not, Mayor, excuse me, I'm under my, I let you speak, please. This is not an emergency, number one. But we can all review the charter, and I do believe this is not proper. This is causing chaos. This is gonna, our yard is not secure. Do you think people are gonna go by the 2 or 3 hours you have per day and not go the rest of the day? We're gonna have the exact same situation we have had occur recently. People dumping 24/7. There is nothing there prohibiting people from dumping without
Well,
authorization.
I do believe that if we prosecute a couple of people, that's going to be a very
Well, it's still
good
gonna, the
deterrent.
village residents are still gonna incur the cost of taking care of all this debris.
What is your
Until
proposal?
until the yard is secured by the fence,
People should do whatever they like.
we will continue our curbside pickup. What I
Let's
would
brush.
propose is a fee, a tipping fee, a tipping fee of $25 per household, whomever would like to do that, that would help fund a position to
And
do
we
that.
can do that. We
But-
can do that.
Yes, and that would fund the hours, but to expend or appropriate man hours without even investigating what the possibility, without discussion, actually. This was not discussed with anybody. You sent us an email that said this is the way it's going to be.
Mr. Esek, what is your credentials to read and analyze the charter?
The same as yours, Mayor.
I don't have any. That's why I went to my attorney.
But you know what? I have
attorney.
common sense, and I don't have to interpret the charter. The charter is
You do.
very clear.
That's-
The charter is crystal clear on everybody's duties and responsibilities.
Yes.
Plain and simple. And this is not your duty or your responsibility.
According to the attorney, it is. Please.
Well, I will discuss that later with the attorney, but I'm telling you right now,
by
our
all
charter is
means.
very clear, Mayor.
By all
For
means.
you now, Doug, I mean, you're bringing it up. I mean, if the attorney wants to explain, I think he should.
If you want to explain to me the section in our charter, Dan, that would be perfectly fine, that I will show you, that states our particular duties, our specific duties. General duties of trustees, to make such bylaws, local laws, rules, and regulations not inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution of the State of New York as they shall deem proper to carry into effect the provisions of this act and other laws, ordinances, rules, and regulations applicable to said village and the powers vested in any officer or employee thereof. The mayor's duty is, she shall take care that all the laws relating to said village and bylaws, ordinances, rules, and regulations which shall from time to time be enacted shall be faithfully executed. So this is a board action, and this is something the board, if we're going to delegate it to the mayor, we're derelict in our duties, because these are our duties, and we're supposed to be carrying them out to the best of our ability in the best interest of our village
Dan?
residents.
Can you answer, please?
Doug, did you look at my three-page analysis on this?
Yeah, I was totally confused, and I can show you the different parts in it that would refer back to our charter and the administrator's duties.
Well, like I said in my paper, what you're talking about there in that specific section does not relate to the day-to-day operations of the village. That particular section of our charter cannot be read in isolation to everything else that's been written. That states that it's subject to the applicable laws of the state of New York, and even as a charter village, as I explained in my email, village laws which are not inconsistent with our charter apply to us. That section does not address the day-to-day operation of the village, and the day-to-day operation of the village, which was originally the mayor's, the assumption was it was the mayor, applied to by New York State village laws, as I explained in my email in 1897, I believe, okay? Anything that Rick can do, that power is given to him other than his clerk and treasurer duties, that power is basically on loan from the mayor. So if there comes to a situation in the day-to-day operations, not the appropriation of funds,
When you allocate overtime and buying signs and so forth, that's allocating funds.
This, respectfully, I would make the same analogy that the mayor made, whether you're talking about a water break or a tire or.
But this wasn't an emergency situation, Dan.
No, but if you have a truck work done, that's not necessarily an emergency situation either. If I buy, new tires for a truck.
That's covered
or if
under
I
their
do-
budget.
That's covered
If I
under our
do
budget.
anything in day-to-day operations, okay, where there is not, we're not talking about a significant, we're not signing contracts, we're working under the current union contracts, okay? And basically, all the mayor did is what Rick would have done. So that there is no conflict with the charter.
Let me ask you this procedure, and we have an ex-mayor here, Mayor Keefe, and I don't recall this ever happening in the history of our village up to this past 3 years, this kind of occurrence.
I can offer you an example. From a previous mayor. I will not name him, but the person who was in there was my coffee last week and said what you should do is call the department head that he was having problem with, like that mayor did, and say, I want you right here, right now, to take care of this problem. I can't do that, obviously. I have to come to you or go to Rick.
Yeah, but I think you kind of went above the department head. I mean,
I did
you
not.
just basically
I-
explained that mayor called the department head and explained to them that this project needs to be done. You went above that, and you said, you went beyond the department head, and you just
If I
basically went out to
understand
the
it
public
correctly,
and
if
stated,
I
I'm doing this.
Okay, I just want to say something. If I understood Dan's email, was that the mayor should have the day-to-day operation, if it is a full-time mayor, all allocated to the administrator according to the administrator's resolution, the resolution that created their part. Okay, that's what it said. Now you're fighting. What you are doing is you wanted a non-elected employee of the village to direct the workforce instead of the mayor, when I'm willing to do it and it's part of my duties, and it takes really work out of his hands so he can do other things. Is that what you're doing?
First of all, Mayor, your position is not a full-time job.
No, it's not. I
That's
am
why
having it.
That's
I'm
why the
doing it.
administrator is the continuum between administrations. He is the full-time person to be the continuum between administrations. That's why he's the full-time employee. And
Mr.
under his
Essex,
job description, Mayor, excuse me.
Mr. Essex, I brought to the village almost $4 million, not because I have something special.
Hold on here. You
but
did not bring all $4 million,
because I
Mayor.
work full-time.
Mayor,
That's the only
excuse me,
reason.
you did not bring the village $4 million. We
I
have
did not.
projects with our engineering firms, if you're speaking of like the wastewater
Who
treatment
talked
plant,
to
the sewer
them?
plant,
Who talked to the state?
I believe it's the engineers
No,
that have to
actually,
take care of that.
I talked to the state, and the state asked me to talk to the engineers. Rick was right there. Rick knows very well who brought the state to bring us the $2.5 million. He knows very well. He was right there.
I'm sorry, but our legal attorney for the village explained it thoroughly. It was clearly put into place. He sent the email out. There's no doubt in my mind the way he explained it. The mayor has full authority to direct all department heads, and then that does not exempt her from doing so because we have an administrator. And that's where it stands. She had the authority to do so, and it was a direction on a department to manage the streets department locality, which that's what the department head did. He took account for his department and is managing the problem at hand.
Was
She
Perry
directed
in
it.
town on Monday?
She directed it.
Was Perry,
Yes.
he was in town on Monday at that day?
It
When,
was
when,
fine.
when you sent out that message that you were going to,
I talked to him before I sent the email.
you did, okay.
I talked to him for a long time because we wanted to make sure that everything was done appropriately. And then I talked to Brad for a long time. And then I talked to Dan for a long time. This is not something that I woke up in the morning and I said, what can I do to upset everybody in the village? Let me do this.
See, you're taking it too personal. No.
No,
We
it's not
understand,
personal.
we understand what you were trying to do. What I'm just trying to figure is basically Doug is trying to say, look, we have policies and procedures that
Yes,
we
and
should follow.
I followed them.
Okay, but when you allocate, I mean, it was very a gray area when it came to scheduling employees and purchasing
I did
signs.
not. I did not. This is micromanaging. I asked Perry to do it. I did not do anything. I have no idea who was scheduled. I'm not going to schedule employees.
Yeah, but you just basically said, I want somebody there on a Saturday, and you told Perry, you directed Perry to put somebody in on a Saturday.
Yes, and we
Okay.
discussed that. It's according to their contract. They have a contract. We're not going to go. That was according to the contract. We made sure that it was according to the contract. He had to shuffle some employees, of course. That's how you direct. That's how he's managing the department. I understand that.
Let me get this straight, Mayor. Are you the manager of all the department heads?
I'm not the manager of anybody.
Okay, well, this is where a resolution back in 1977, which made a full-time administrator the administrator for such things as this, and I realize, with all due respect, Dan, you fully tried to explain it and in your three-page explanation of it, but it's quite clear in here, subject to the approval and direction and control of the Board of Trustees or the mayor, as the case may be, the village administrator, in addition to the usual duties of the clerk and treasurer, shall and Part B of it is exercise supervision over the conduct of all functions and activities of the village and its officers and employees. There's an
Did you say
there's an
subject-
organizational chart here, Mayor. There's a chain of command.
No,
And the
there's
chain of
not.
command.
This is illegal if it's chain of command.
Illegal?
Yes.
Illegal in what sense?
Gentlemen, if I might, all right, I tried to explain this a couple different ways. What you're missing out of the resolution, Doug, is the next portion, which says, nothing herein contained shall be deemed or construed as abolishing, transferring, or curtailing any powers or duties of the Board of Trustees or the mayor, treasurer, or clerk, because those two positions were combined into the administration resolution at this point, as prescribed by village charter or other applicable laws. Gentlemen, I've put about 6 hours into this analysis. The mayor did ask me before she did this. I did look at this. I did approve of that action. So if the issue is with the law, the issue is not with what she did, the issue is with my analysis. And if you guys can figure out a different way to do it, or if there's a document that I didn't review, or if you think I did something wrong, then your argument's with me, not with her. Because she did come to me before this action was taken. I did look at the code, I did look at the charter, I did look at the laws of the state of New York, I did bless this, okay? This wasn't something she did on her own. I've tried to explain it a couple times to everybody after that. Clearly, there's still some confusion. If you would like to go back and review what I wrote again, I think you might see that. If not, if you have specific questions, you know where to find me.
So clearly for the last 100 years, this village was doing things wrong.
No, clearly for the last 100 years, the village is not doing things the way they're doing them right now. In 1977 is when the administration position was created. Who was operating day-to-day functions before the administrator position in 77?
I have no idea.
Well,
Mayor
that's my point.
Charlie St. George. He was
Okay,
the mayor.
that's my point. The issue is that power of supervision is granted to the mayor by New York state law. There is nothing in that charter or in that resolution that is inconsistent with that. In fact, the resolution that you keep referring to specifically says it repeatedly. And that was one of the points I tried to make. Because it's my position that the gentleman that drafted this was either trying to avoid a mandatory referendum, because that's what a power transfer would require, even back in 77, or that he didn't want to have this discussion because they were creating a very powerful position in the village, and they didn't want any confusion as to who was doing what. So my analysis was and continues to be, other than the clerk duties and the treasurer duties, the powers of day-to-day operation that Rick exercises very well on all our behalves, actually is on rent from the mayor. That's where that power originally resides, not with the board.
This is in our charter or in village law, which we don't operate under?
But see, this is where you're getting confused again.
No, I'm not confused at
You
all.
do
We operate under,
village law. And they
our
passed-
charter is the main thing we operate under.
But anything not inconsistent with the charter in village law is applicable and has been for over 100 years. So this isn't like a new thing.
Well, I can tell you, a decision like this, that if it would be unilaterally made by myself or any other one trustee, would be lambasted
Completely, because the
Completely.
board doesn't have that power at all.
completely. So one person, I feel, this decision is not rest under one person. That's why when we make decisions and we make resolutions, it's the Board of Trustees that pass resolutions on different things.
To spend money, to make laws,
What we're doing right here is spending money.
amount of money. This is, we have, the Board of Trustees just adopted a budget. In that budget, there is a line in every department, overtime. That's up to the department head to use that overtime.
Did you investigate how that impacts the union contract and the implications on
I
overtime
did.
with that?
We
I
did
did.
discuss the union contract, and my understanding is the mayor did discuss it with Perry, and we did give proper notice to the employees that schedules or whatever would have to be adjusted, and so everything was, to my knowledge, done according to the contract.
There's going to be no adjustment to scheduling. This is going to be non-scheduled time, so it's going to be pure overtime, just so everybody knows that. This is unscheduled time. The other part that you have to remember is, under the union contract of CSEA, if they work 1 minute of overtime, they get an additional 2 hours. So the 2 hours that you have scheduled now could turn into 4 hours overtime in a split second, 1 minute. because they have mandatory, if they, let's say somebody's dumping debris at the street department and it happens to be 8 o'clock, goes over to 8:01, 8:02, 8:03, now that guy's got to put the horses back up, block everything off, do what he normally has to do. Now it's 5 or 10 minutes after 4 hours of overtime.
That could happen with any department, any employee, and that would be handled by
I
the
just want to
department
point
head.
out to the Board of Trustees that
Let me ask you this.
chances are you're probably going to be on the hook for 4 hours on those things, because if you have it from a specific time to a specific time again, excuse me?
It's a what-if scenario. If it doesn't, and if
Well,
they manage it.
it's going to
and-
happen.
Well, It
Well, let me ask you
may
this,
or
Doug.
may not, but if it's a what-if scenario, and what if he manages that time so that everybody, so that the gates close, as he doesn't allow somebody in that's going to be taking past the 2-hour time?
Because somebody's going to sit there and say, it's not 8 o'clock yet. And if I got
May
a truck,
happen.
if I got a trunk load of debris, I'm not taking that back home. I'm
I think
dumping
that's a
it if it's
possibility.
not 8
Well, it's a
o'clock.
possibility.
That's a
Well, let me
possibility.
ask you this, the
I'm not
daytime
taking it
hours,
back home.
the daytime hours that you have scheduled, is that pulling somebody off a job that they should be normally doing? I mean, everybody in our village is complaining about potholes, garbage picked up
Yes,
in the park.
obviously.
So you're
But
taking a
everybody in the
person that
village-
needs to be doing other village things
everybody in
to
the
sit
village,
there
Mr.
and
You know
watch
what?
that.
Is doing
Also,
other things.
well, this discussion lets us all know that we need to fix this problem sooner rather than later. We can't just wait to fix the problem at the DPW. We've been talking about this for a long time. We talked about it at the last meeting. We talked about it at the meeting before that. We've got to do something about it because it might not be an emergency like a water main break, obviously. That's a serious emergency. But for some people, this is a very serious problem. They need a place to put their stuff. So
It's more of an
this entire
inconvenience.
discussion is about how we need to fix a problem and we need to fix it sooner rather than later.
Correctly though, Kara, with much thought so that things don't occur like they did the last,
I did
with
not
during the
pass it
storm.
on.
I would like to
Mr.
bring up a
Dawson.
point, please, because you shut me down before. You called me unprofessional. Do not do that again. You have no idea why I came late. You have no idea why I do what I do. Please do not ever call me unprofessional again
When did I call you unprofessional?
at the beginning of your
I
statement.
said it was unprofessional for the mayor to do this. I did not call you unprofessional, Kara. Please listen
You
carefully.
said 2 people came late and it was
It
unprofessional.
was unprofessional that the mayor scheduled this. So that was the intent of that. I did not call you unprofessional.
Okay,
Please,
well, I thought that's what it
No.
sounded like to me, and I think that's what it sounded like to other people.
no, I'll clarify it. It's unprofessional that stuff is scheduled when all the trustees aren't informed of the
I
agenda.
sent, the agenda that I sent was including that 6 o'clock presentation. I didn't have to conceal it from you. And something I need to say, you get upset over this. I'm not passing a law. I was trying to very simply, for the time being, for this week, for 2 weeks, to fix a problem. When somebody has 10 bags of grass in the front yard every week, and they come to me, that's why I'm here. All right? So I found a way to at least do something about it. If you have a better idea, we can start that better idea. At the same time, please understand, everybody here on this side is the same team. This is not a hockey game. Okay. Anything else? Mr. Ritz?
My only trustee report tonight, I have some bad news. Unfortunately, the light bulbs that we received, the LED light bulbs that are going to go in the park, we have different sockets. They're not uniform, so go figure. So the contractor that supplied us with the sample bulbs to go in the park,
Nothing in seven.
Perry notified me that unfortunately we have 18 lights in the twin parks, and 17 of them have different sockets. So we're going to be doing a little remodification and
Okay.
updating of our village lighting system here shortly. Unfortunately, I had some bad news.
Thank you. So we can't use it at all? We can't use
Right
it.
now, no. But if we do decide, Perry's going to try to figure out, hopefully we have 2 sockets that the 2 bulbs can be used in.
Okay.
And they may be on weird angles in the park, but we'll kind of put a ribbon around them or something so people
So people know.
they have an idea which
Okay.
two to be looking at.
Very good,
So.
thank you. Trustee Barris?
How much time do I have?
You have all night. You have all night, Professor.
You have about 5 minutes.
I'd like to talk about emerging infectious diseases. And this has been a problem in the village of Fredonia for 214 years. Has involved the early deaths of members of my family as well as other people living in the village of Fredonia. Could you?
Yes,
Okay, this is the current cover of Emerging Infectious Disease magazines published by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control. And it shows a kitchen. And it's a painting by Vincenzo Conti, which is painted in 1580. And the point is that food sanitation has changed in the last 440 years. We have a situation where we're having a dinner is planned here, and they're going to serve venison and geese, and we have the cats and dogs are fighting over the gizzards. So these sorts of things are not what the Chautauqua County Department of Health would appreciate or allow at this time. We have a problem with the wastewater treatment plant. The ceramic tile pipes, which extend throughout the village, are leaking. This is a typical problem, but it can be fixed. So the interiors of the pipes can be coated with material. And this would be the first step in preventing this problem, which has disrupted the village of Fredonia, causing death over the last 214 years. It is well within the remit of the Board of Trustees to take steps to eliminate these deaths. The causes of death of particular interest are cholera, typhoid, hepatitis A, and Campylobacter gastroenteritis. I'll leave it there.
Thank you very much. Anybody has anything to say? Thank you very much, Dr. Barris. Very important information. All right, and then we go forward for the old business. Apparently, the DPW yard waste, I think we covered it. Are you okay? You want to do something else? That's what,
I still think we should think about getting a camera.
camera is a good idea, but I just want something tomorrow.
Right, like, yeah.
Okay. I put the parking spaces on Temple there just because somebody came for my coffee and reminded me of, Brad, can we just, like, if I understand it correctly, we can just put a no parking sign there?
Yeah, that's in the hands of the DPW. Whenever they do the signage, they do the signage.
Okay, so they should do it. Okay, I didn't know. All right, thank you. So we're going to take care of that. Village Hall front steps, I understand you have to discuss it. The front steps? You said you want to
I
discuss
don't
it?
know. Dan?
I did speak to the engineer on that. I was supposed to get an email today with a new proposal. I did not receive that, and I didn't have a chance to reach out to him and see why. So I'm anticipating any day. His intention was to have it to us before noon today, so we could discuss it at tonight's meeting. The original proposal was basically not what we needed. What we needed was what they were calling Phase 2, which was going to give us instruction on legal compliance, engineering, things of that nature. And so what I did was I asked him to put together a total number proposal rather than doing a portion of the project and then getting an estimate for the second phase, which is actually what we need.
That's a good
So,
idea.
yes, that'd be because the number, the cost that they were talking about included that first phase, so that should be at a lesser cost. Because I had thoughts over the weekend and I sent the email to everyone, as to, the cost seemed to be creeping up there. We don't have a whole lot of money to be spending, but, and I know that I explained that in the past, that when there was some repairs that needed to be done, it was done in-house. I don't think it had all of that engineering and all of the things done, at the time. So, but, it's possible that we may need some. And I know that I did say that I was in favor of getting engineering done, but I did rethink that. And I was wondering if there was a possibility to get it done in-house, if our street department could do it. Is it a repair possibility?
In talking to the engineers, we basically agree because of the historical nature, all the rest of it, basically it's got to be replaced as close to as what it was we can possibly get. The issues that arises because of that would be the phase 2 issues. Part of the reason that they structured their proposal the way they did was because they didn't want to blow anybody's mind with a large number, and until they actually look at it, they're not able to say what that's going to entail. I explained to them that it's a square hole and it's going to basically need a square rock. And,
Well, the stones that were removed from there are not lost, or, those are still, the stone is still there as is. And what is underneath there is cement block and concrete. That's not original to the building. Those are what was placed the last time it was repaired. So that is not an original item to the historic building. Those are more recent type of materials. So, but,
Doesn't matter, it's a historic building.
so,
SHPO is gonna have a say in how it gets reviewed. Doesn't matter how you did it in the past, if you did not go to SHPO knows about it now. We've taken money from SHPO to do the roof and to do renovations on Village Hall. And therefore you're under contract to have everything that you do to the outside of this building approved by SHPO.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes. All right. I apologize. I have the memorandum of understanding downstairs. However, I did not bring it to you. I will give it to you as you go out. It's regarding the central connection. We decided between the Village of Fredonia, City of Dunkirk, and SUNY Fredonia to sign a memorandum of understanding, basically saying that we support each other and we support common projects. But I will give it to you so we can hopefully approve it next meeting. And let's go to the proposed alcohol law. And I will call on Trustee Essek and Trustee Christina as co-chairs of that committee to fill us in.
Yeah, there was some confusion about whether we called for a public hearing or not, and I thought we did, so on the May, and I wrote some notes, but I don't know what I did with them. On at the May 21st meeting, we tabled it, the discussion. At that point, was that to call for a public hearing? Someone help me, because that's what I thought. So I don't see it's not on tonight's agenda.
That
It's
wasn't the
not-
appropriate language calling for a public hearing. If you read that,
Right.
the one that was tabled, there's no language in there calling for a public hearing.
So
It's
we
not
need to
mentioned.
be
At the end of that
specific.
resolution
Right.
should be language that says that therefore,
Right.
on this date, at this time, there would be a public hearing in Village Hall to address.
But I thought we did.
What we did is we did it the way that I instructed that we can do it, and the way that a lot of communities do it, is to, instead of having the vote, obviously, we call for an oral motion to table it at that time for a public hearing at the next scheduled meeting, and that's what we did. The idea that the notice was messed up, I'm not sure how that happened, but my advice to the mayor, after being made aware the notice wasn't correct, I know that there were people coming tonight, and I think we should listen to them, but the official public hearing will have to be conducted another time.
Okay, can we set that tonight? A public hearing? Right, but we can say it's going to be 2 weeks from now. We can't. Why not?
Because you don't have the whole house sitting in front of us. with the language that has that in it?
So we have to have a resolution in front of us stating that is
He
what you're
just,
saying.
no, he just said that.
No, we can do that, orally at the meeting.
As long as
As
it
long
gets
as-
published.
That's-
That doesn't
that's
have
different
anything
than
to
the
do
way
with the
we've done it
official
in the
notice.
past.
It is.
Yeah,
That's different.
Rick,
Yeah.
and that's my fault. I've done it the way that I've been doing it for 14 years, and
No,
I
that's-
didn't do it the
that's fine.
Fredonia way,
Right.
and it created some confusion, and I didn't explain it properly. I made some assumptions.
So we can call for the public hearing
Absolutely.
tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, for the meeting in 2 weeks.
If we enter a regularly scheduled meeting this evening, yes, you can make a motion to table the discussion for a public hearing in 2 weeks. Note the time, the date, and the place, and you're done.
Yeah, because I remember doing that last time.
That was my understanding too, but
Okay.
Will it
There
have
was
to
some
be
confusion.
reread like it was before? Would it be read saying that and then stated that afterwards, or?
Does anybody have a copy of the original run with the notes? From the 21st?
I just want to make sure it's done properly.
Right, we want to make sure that this moves
The-
forward.
The proposed law was read, and then it was tabled before it was voted on for a public hearing in 2 weeks.
And everything was done correctly at the meeting, although it wasn't reflected in the minutes of the meeting, and the notice that was published in the paper was not correct. So basically, we just have to delay tonight's public hearing, but we do need to have it at the next regularly scheduled meeting, but you guys need to have a motion, and you can do that orally
Okay.
during the regular portion of the meeting.
So it just has to be a motion.
At the regular portion of the meeting.
Okay.
Regular meeting.
So,
Okay.
Also,
Okay.
we're not done with this. Kara, are you through with what you're,
Maybe, what do you want to say? Depends on what you're going to say.
Well, let's discuss it, since people
Yeah,
are here.
absolutely.
Yeah, we weren't able to hold a committee meeting previous to this, but there are some occurrences that disturbed me here over last week and this weekend. This is a pretty controversial issue on how we move forward with our alcohol law, whether we keep it the same or we amend it. And I just wanted to, this may not seem like it pertains to this, but it kind of leads into where I'm going here. If you'd all please just be patient. Workplace bullying is driven by perpetrators' need to control the targeted individuals. It is initiated by bullies who choose their targets, timing, location, and methods. It is a set of acts of commission, doing things to others, or omission, withholding resources from others. Requires consequences for the targeted individual. Escalates to involve others who side with the bully, either voluntarily or through coercion. Undermines legitimate business interests when bullies' personal agendas take precedence over work itself. The reason I'm saying this is last Wednesday, I got a text from the mayor asking me if I'd co-sponsor this alcohol law with trustee Christina. I said I could not sponsor this because I do not support this. Please ask somebody else. No problem, thank you. That was on Wednesday, June 6th at 5:30 PM. There's some other emails going around with the members of our committee, which I'd like to share to you on Thursday, June 7th. Mr. Fiorella, which is a member of our committee, there must have been some discussion with all the trustees. Landis also emailed me about it. I'm lobbying Brits about the code right now. What happened was, after I was questioned to see if I would co-sponsor this code here and how my feelings and my position on this was, Trustee Brits was also questioned on his position. He said he could not do that. So that meant that the both of us were not in favor of this at that point.
What is this?
This pertains
What are we
to
talking about? Are you talking about alcohol law? Yes. You're talking about the trolleys?
alcohol.
Okay.
So on Friday, 6/8, I also received a text from Mr. Fiorello. I received alerts from certain individuals that the code change was going to be voted on for Monday's meeting and was in jeopardy of not passing. I now know it's not. Just wanted to understand your position, as I've heard you no longer support the code change. Also, with Mr. Fiorella, from Trustee Christina on June 6th at 7:09 PM. Larry, I'm hearing that both Essex and Brits are going to vote against the change in the village code to allow alcohol. You might want to get to many people as possible to attend the meeting to express support.
Are these public-
Okay, I guess my point is,
Bullying? Are you defining this as bullying?
Yes, I am. Okay, well, it's not, I'm still, the point is, when you enlist other people to, when your position, and what happened was we changed our meeting procedures so that the mayor could solicit sponsors and co-sponsors to resolutions, and that way, she was able to determine who's in favor and not in favor of it. Okay, now I know trustee Barris is also not in favor of it. Trustee Barris, were you also
I didn't say
questioned?
that. I said I would abstain.
Abstained for personal
from,
reasons?
Discussions of the alcohol law or any law relating to control of legal or illegal chemical substances which are ingested.
So were you contacted to see if you would vote yes or no in favor of it instead
I
of
wasn't.
abstaining? That's interesting. Myself and trustee
I
Pritzker.
did have correspondence with the mayor about the alcohol law, and I explained to her exactly what I've explained to you now.
I guess my point is, this is reminiscent of what happened with the park grant vote. I wasn't in favor of it. What happened was a group of individuals was assembled for the meeting and browbeat myself and trustee Phyllis Jones, and it was not a good situation. I was told in a previous vote for the DRI, the Downtown Revitalization vote, that I don't have to like what the results of the vote were, but I have to accept it. Well, guess what? This village board and this village residents have to accept my decision on this here, and I don't like to be, this behavior is eighth grade-ish.
What? What is eighth graders? That I
Calling
know-
up, trying to, and
Of course,
Mr.
that's
Britz
my
was
job.
also, Mr. Britz was also questioned
Yes.
by Mr. Friedman trying to change his vote.
But these are.
Instructed
these
by
are-
you,
these
Mayor.
are your
I guess-
Excuse me, these
No,
are your,
I have the,
These are
you're out of
your
order,
constitu-
Mayor.
I'm sorry, these are your constituents. They have every right to contact you and find out what you're doing, how you're doing it,
On their
why.
own.
Doug, with all due respect, I mean, especially when we have a majority opinion on the committee, that, you know, we kind of all reached a consensus. I mean, asking you to explain your position isn't really ridiculous. I mean.
I don't think
I
my
don't see the
position was
problem,
ever in
really.
question
No, not
at all.
yours. I'm just,
You're correct. And you know what? This was just the change of the way we do our structure of our meetings and this kind of behavior here. This is,
So you wanted to come here and ambush everybody. People should not know.
This was your committee.
yes.
Yours and Karen.
my
No,
committee.
Please, would you wait? This was your committee. You allowed it to come out of committee, okay? If there was questions and doubts in your mind, your committee was to provide a solution to a problem, a solution to the issue, that's something that's the needs of the community. You allowed it to come out of committee without, you should have asked or solved any issues or concerns you had before you had it come out of committee. Then you brought it to the board to be put forward as a resolution, to be voted on. And if you come down to the end,
Oh, we did not.
it will be.
We did not, though. We did not do that yet. And you know what? It came out of committee because my person here, Kara Christina, asked me to either reschedule this or it could be discussed in agenda or during the workshop. So that's where we're doing it right now. So you saying it's brought out of committee?
Yes,
It
that's your
was.
committee.
It was
Your
come out of committee.
means that you have a problem
Okay.
that you need
I have
to
a problem with
address.
people going behind my back and trying to change.
I am totally in front of you. I'm
nothing
asking
behind your
people
back.
to come out and say their opinion. That's democracy.
Okay, well, unfortunately, I'm the minority in the opinion of how this law should go. So this is exactly what happened with
And
the
I'm a
park
minority
vote,
many
Mayor.
times, Mr. Esek. Everybody accepts democracy.
This isn't
like-
democracy. This is
What is it?
borderline dictatorship is what
By
this
whom?
is.
By whom?
By whom?
By you,
Wow.
Mayor.
By me. Can you refer to one thing that I've done that is anything close to a dictatorship?
These actions right now, trying to change everybody's vote by
Okay, can I ask the public what they think about that? Please, yes.
I can understand there are rules and regulations for the way
Could you
that
please stand up and
function.
state your
Can you
name?
please, yes, can you please
Pardon
stand
me?
up?
Stand up, state your name.
Joanne Mansfield, I'd like to say, I can understand there's rules and regulations the way you need to function. I am not a member of the village. This is my first meeting that I've come to, and I'm highly embarrassed, I'm sorry to say. That's number one. Number two, I believe that your function, from what I would understand it to be, is to get a job done for your village in all aspects with the best of your ability to interwork and help yourself function and achieve something. And frankly, I am on Festivals Fredonia. I'm chairperson of the Fredonia History Days, and I've run into a lot of resistance in this village. I am not a village person, and a lot of resistance about change, about helping each other, about volunteerism, about fundraising. I'm kind of fed up, can you tell? But what I'm saying is I think it has to start somewhere, and it has to start from you guys. I'm sorry. But I'd like to see some more, maybe it's not the functioning of the rules and the regulations that I mentioned, but this should be a problem-solving situation as far as I'm concerned, and I'd like to see it work that way. And we do have a problem. Larry and I are trying to do something for this village, and like I said, the resistance has been in many different areas hard to deal with. So I would appreciate, and I'm sorry, Mayor, I haven't come to you first to explain what my ideas are for this, because I think we've got some good ideas. So hopefully, basically that's what I just need to say, is I'd like to see some problem solving, working together. I'm disappointed that the resolution, and I understand your regulations, cannot be discussed and dealt with tonight because we are under a very strict timeline.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Anybody else?
I'm Melanie Mann, I'm the chairperson of the Fredonia Pamphlet Republican Committee, and I would like to say that I understand Mr. Essex's point because I saw that email, and I think that, as well as what Ms. Manfield said, it was very nice if we could all get together and work together. I think what's counterproductive to working together is when you have a committee that's meeting on an issue and doing something, and then after that committee ends their meeting, somebody like Ms. Christina goes and emails people to try and gin them up to get out here and support something in a really kind of resistor type fashion. I think that things can be hashed out, certainly, and I think that talking is a really great thing, but I think when you go behind the scenes and you send an email that's ginning up resistance and problems versus people sitting across the table and working, that's where we're having an issue here. And I think that's where Mr. Essek is feeling like he has been put upon. I know Mr. Britz is probably feeling like he is put upon because of that email, people called them and made them feel like their position, because of their conviction, was wrong. And I think that's not right. No one is bothering you, Mayor, about your conviction. And I just
Plenty
think,
of people do, believe me.
well, I'm sure that right now,
Plenty
you
of
know,
people
they're
do.
not. Right now, we're having a discussion regarding the alcohol issue. And I think that these two trustees have been trying to work hard on it. And it doesn't speak well when you go and you email behind people's back, especially if you're on that committee.
I understand, but this is the thing. This is what's going on in Washington. When something, if I want to pass something, I feel passionate about something, I'm part of a committee. I'm trying to talk to people. I'm trying to lobby to people. I'm trying to change your vote, his vote, the other vote, so I can pass whatever I can. That's not bullying. That's
Politics.
democracy.
Also, Mrs. Mann, you misrepresent me.
No,
Mr.
Christina,
yes.
I don't misrepresent you. I'm sorry, I don't.
Well, you do. Mr. Essek was on the committee along with Mr. Fiorella and Mr. Wylazinski and Police Chief Myers, and we came to an understanding, and I'm pretty sure that everybody on that committee came to some understanding where we were going to move with this. And then the next thing I hear is that someone doesn't want to move forward with it. And my concern is that we need to do things differently in the village.
And you made that assumption because he didn't want to sponsor the bill, correct?
I didn't know, I had no knowledge of him sponsoring the bill. So I don't know what you're talking about. Again, you misrepresent me. Okay, stop misrepresenting me. Everybody on the committee was ready to move forward with it. I have no idea what changed Mr. Essek's mind, and he obviously can vote in any way that he sees fit. That's his right to do so. And That's,
I emailed
he can do
Mr.
that.
Fiorella. Full disclosure, I emailed him. Yes, please.
I'm happy to wait, but I'm happy to speak. Anybody
Yes, this is behind.
want to go, boy?
Yeah,
Can you
my name
please
is
send it in?
Frankie John. I've been a resident of Fredonia for 80 years, and I have never seen, I've been to many, many meetings here. I've never seen the arguments that go on, and a little bit of this menu that you got here, you haven't even got to nothing. You're just arguing argue in a room by yourselves. Don't bring it out in the open like this. It's no good. It's bad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alex?
Can I briefly remark that the trustees cannot do this in private? They're required by law to conduct their meetings in public.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And usually we do it by ourselves because nobody sits there, so. That's it. Yes,
So, I'm Alex Wozinski, who's also on the committee. Basically, you know, I've got your,
send out.
oh,
Alex.
sorry. It's a new procedure. I've got your May 18th email here where you make it clear that you're fundamentally against the idea, which is fine. And, you know, we had a difference of opinion, but you also say, I forgot exactly what you said, but basically, what'd you say? That being said, if it is the will of the residents and they are aware of the consequences, then so be it, and the board will, sorry, make the necessary changes. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure they
basically, what we did was, my understanding of it was we reached a potential solution, then we have the hearing, and if people like it, then you adopt it. And so that's what we did.
The majority of the board feels that's the right
The majority
solution.
of the residents feel it's appropriate.
And if the majority of the board votes in favor of the resolution, then it passes. You're correct.
Yeah,
I've never been, I never blindsided anybody on my feelings
Oh, I
and my,
I know, it was clear. I enjoyed
clear
working
on
with
all
you.
this.
It-
And you
yeah.
know what? I'm looking out for the entire village. And if somebody can show me that the benefits outweigh the risks,
Yeah.
it's great. But the risks outweigh the benefits here. There's lots of problems. And until it can be totally clear, that's the way it is.
I respect your concerns and your, you know, care for the village, but, I mean, when Karen and I emailed you a couple days ago, you know, what are your concerns so we can be prepared for this meeting?
thought
It
we
was
needed to
crickets, you know?
Because you know what? It happened, because I saw the emails that were going behind my back, Alex, at the time, and that's why I'm going, guess what? If I say, everybody, guess what? I'm going to explain what's going on with these emails. I'll have a barrage of stuff
Well,
coming at me.
I can't speak to those because I didn't get any of them.
You're
Thank
correct.
you, Alex. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very
That's
much.
exactly why I did not state what I wanted to, because when you
wanted to
prepare
understand.
everybody days beforehand, you get bombarded with, you get attacked. So I don't want that,
Anybody
didn't want
else?
that.
Please.
You can shake your head, Jim, but
I
it
did.
happens.
No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to argue with you, Doug. That's, you have your own opinion.
My name's Steve Keith. I'm here representing the Italian Festival. And we're not here to grow Caddy Burr. We're here to just have a festival and be able to serve Vino with our pasta. That was our ideal goal. I did send in a request in February, and Rick, to your credit, you did highlight the part down there that said alcohol may be, you know, a question. We have ordered an extra tent, you know, to set up for wine and our beer, you know, so we can have it segregated into a separate area, fenced in to meet all criteria. We've been in contact with the local wineries and the local distributor in the village. What we try to do is promote local businesses. You know, the businesses that'll be serving here, we might have one or two out of Dunkirk, the rest are all Fredonia businesses. It's to bring people into the village. It's all volunteers doing the work. Takes quite a bit of work, quite a bit of time, and we spend a lot of nights with it. Right now, I'm putting out false advertisements. I'm putting out posters that are talking about the festival's Fredonia, July 7th, wine and beer at the bottom of it. I should put a question mark on those, you know, as I walk around the village, you know. But I don't think that, the process to go through the state to get the license in place, I filled out the application. I haven't spent a cent yet because I was in anticipation thinking that something might, not work out. The wineries that promised to be here, I've kind of put them on hold. The one person that was filling out a beer license here in the village, I told them, don't spend any money yet. The odds of you all making a decision before July 7th in time for us to get our license secured is getting slender. So, I know you're going to do what you're going to do. That's your all's job, and I appreciate the job you're doing. Sometimes it's a thankless job. So I appreciate what you're doing. I just wanted to say that our intention wasn't to be Mardi Gras. Our intention was just so people could drink a glass of wine when they're eating your local food.
Thank you. I'd also like to say that I think that there's a misunderstanding about what changing the code does. Maybe Mr. Guard could address what exactly amending the code does. It does not say that there's going to be unlimited drinking allowed all the time in the park for every festival, correct?
Perhaps I could speak and then Mr. Guard could
Yes,
speak to that.
please.
Maybe you would answer some of my
Yes.
questions. I'm Andy Love, we live at 30 Ryan Place, and I want to live here 50 years, but, I'm catching up. And I guess I start off by saying the level of civility here, it's just concerning to me. Mayor, you mentioned this isn't Washington. Gosh, I sure hate to see this turn into Washington. We're all on the same side. We all want to better our community. We all want to get along. We want to plan things to bring families, people, outsiders into the park on various nights during the summer and during the fall. And we want what's best. We're on the same side. And just because we disagree doesn't mean we have to get snappy with each other. But my question about this alcohol policy is this. Don't we currently, Festivals of Fredonia, have a Red, White, and Blues Fest?
Yes.
I'm not on festivals from here,
Yes.
you don't ask him.
Okay, so we have a Red, White, and Blues Fest, correct?
Yes.
And during the Red, White, and Blues Fest, this past one, I enjoyed going to the park and listening to some jazz and have a nice ice-cold beer. I enjoyed that tremendously. Was I breaking the law?
Yes.
Yes.
I was breaking the law.
Absolutely. That's
Okay.
why we're talking
So
about
we've been
changing
breaking
the
the
code.
law with the Red, White, and Blues Fest for how many decades now? 2?
At least 2.
Okay, so this is already happening, yes? So then are we going to stop having the Red, White, and Blues Fest if we don't pass this code?
Yes.
Probably,
Yes.
yes.
So I guess I'd ask the trustees, you're not in favor of the Red, White, and Blues Fest?
Andy,
Thank you, yes.
the alcohol code is the sale of beer and wine on village property. Red, White, and Blues, I believe mostly is, and I don't know if you purchased your beer through somebody in the park or wherever. If you purchased it in a bar, that's what it's all about. Red, White, and Blues was that the fronts of the bars and businesses were opened up because of the too much people within the bars that created a safety hazard. But the people purchased their alcohol within the establishment. They did not, it wasn't purchased on public property. And they, I guess that probably the stay on the open container law was what was done there. It was not a sale of alcohol on the park. People purchased their alcohol within the businesses, and they drink it outside, and then they walk from business to business. And I believe probably the West Barker Commons, not Barker Commons, the West Municipal Lot alleyway there, I think was blocked off, and so forth and so on. But I'm not aware if sales of alcohol was done on public property, that is illegal.
Another evening last summer, I purchased a bottle of wine in the park. Were they breaking the law?
Yeah.
So we're breaking the law. So, I think you need to resolve this code, so, because I'm.
That's what brought it up, actually.
I want to be allowed. This is
the reason
why
we're
discussing this, is changing it. What I don't understand is the difference between going into an establishment, purchasing a beer, and walking over to the park, and having that. Well, That's an open container law. Well, exactly, but I was allowed to do that, and you just said that was the reason for opening the park.
No, I said that's the reason for opening in front of the
I'm not
business.
speaking to you, man.
In front of the
If I-
business.
Don't mind me interjecting.
Sure.
If you do walk out of an establishment and go across the street, go to the park, now it's a New York State Liquor Authority problem. So
Okay.
they can shut the business down,
Okay.
not just open container.
Now, when we were there last summer,
and I purchased that bottle of wine, I was breaking the law. Now, who allowed that law breaking to happen? I mean,
It wasn't
I'm
supposed
assuming
to.
I'm assuming that they came to the village board and asked permission. Did they ask permission and was permission granted?
Not for that. You're
Not for
wrong.
that.
That specifically, the events that happened that night were not granted permission by resolution. I'm not. That, it absolutely was wrong. You're absolutely correct. And knowing forward that we're breaking the law, we have to change that and do things differently. That's what we're doing
That's
now.
why we want to change the code.
Because things happened 20 years ago, I can't help what happened 20 years ago.
Changing the code is going to help.
It sounds like Festivals Fredonia wants to change the code. It sounds like.
Andy, we all agree.
Yes.
We all agree with
You
you.
agree, but then you're
But
arguing
there's a lot-
about voting on the code.
Okay.
It's not black
I'm
and
not trying
white.
to bully you.
No. I'll let you finish, and then when,
You said you agree, but you're going to vote against the code. I don't understand.
No, wait
Mr. Gardner, maybe you can even speak to the questions that Ms. Christine was going to ask or anything that I brought up here. But I certainly think we need to get this resolved before the next Red, White, and Blues Fest so that the Festival of
We're going to
Fredonia can
try.
have some of their events.
You're
And
correct. This will be
legally.
addressed next
Legally.
meeting, a
Legally,
public hearing
yes.
next meeting, and we'll vote on a resolution
Yes.
afterwards.
But I still don't understand the difference between going into an establishment and having a drink or having that establishment open up a booth or a slush bus or something like that. Happens in communities all over the place.
Right.
I can name for you right off the top of my head. Happens in Westfield, happens in Dunkirk. Last Thursday, I was at Music on the Pier. I guess sometimes you need to emulate success. And I look around. You go to Buffalo, you go to Live at Larkin. They do the same thing. You can purchase alcohol. They have live music. It's a great venue, and I think we could have that here. And I'm not promoting drunkenness. You know, when I was here for the Red, White, and Blues Fest, it was a wonderful atmosphere. It was a family atmosphere. I didn't see anybody walking, stumbling drunk. I don't know what the arrests were like, you know, but I thought it was a wonderful atmosphere. And I don't see any reason why we can't do the same things that our neighboring communities are having tremendous success with. And I wouldn't understand why anybody would vote against that.
I haven't said anything all night, so I would like to just kind of interject a little bit here. We all agree with you. I mean, but we have to do this in such a way that we protect the village, we protect the residents, and we have to look beyond just the atmosphere of having a glass of wine in the park while watching a 50s band. We're opening up liability to other things. We're a college town. So if we open up the laws and allow Jim Nichols and his 50s band to come down and play in our park, and you want to come down and enjoy a nice glass of wine, that's all good and fine. But now we just opened up the books again to allow I Tap a Keg to come in and say, look, I have all this. And only months ago, let me finish, please. Only months ago, we were just discussing how we're trying to dummy down a little bit of this so-called Fred Fest. But now you're allowing us to kind of open up the whole liquor law to allow drinking in our parks. We have to weigh a lot of options. This is a very touchy situation in our village.
And I may say something, that was the committee's
Absolutely,
responsibility.
absolutely.
To,
That's part
to do that,
and
to
I totally
discuss
agree with that.
different
But
things.
because of the nature
Remember
of
our
this law,
committee?
right? I understand, but because
Please
of
finish,
because of the situation and the nature of this new law, this isn't going to take just one quick public meeting and a vote. You have to look beyond some of this stuff. It's going to, other festivals are going to require extra police protection. Other festivals are going to probably require us to have overtime in cleaning up our parks. There's things we have to look outside just of what this law entails. So I'm trying to dig in a little deeper. I'm trying to take it in.
Doesn't the code just give you the right to vote as a village board on specific events where you could address all those concerns?
That's correct. And no, you're absolutely right. But I don't want to be open up to discrimination. Now, here I sit in front of the board, and I allow Red, Whites, and Blues to come in and have a great festival in the village, but I Tap a Keg comes walking in, has all the paperwork, has everything they need and more, and I sit down and say, nope, I don't want you in my park. Now I just open myself up to a little bit more liability when it comes to discrimination.
Mr. Gardner, you speak to the liability with the discrimination piece?
Absolutely. To go back, just as a quick recap, the local law was drafted just as an additional exception to the law that's already there. And it does cover, sales. It also covers open containers, so everybody was correct. Yep, there was a violation of the law when we were doing that. But
Sorry?
the issue is that we want, that is something that a lot of people have expressed interest in. And so when I drafted this law, I kept it very simple, okay? All it says is that the board may, in its discretion, by resolutions, they're gonna have to go on the record, suspend the provisions of the chapter. Now, I put down the whole chapter that's within the sections of exceptions to that chapter, meaning that we can suspend the open container law, meaning we can suspend the off-premises sales in the park, for the Italian festival or whatever. At the same time, I wrote it in such a way that it's not discriminatory, but it still allows discretion, all right? If the Boy Scouts Jamboree wants to come to Barker Common, chances are this board's gonna say no to their liquor application, okay? The Italian festival, completely different thing. But
So you guys aren't going to discriminate against Italians?
Absolutely. So, the thing of it is, though, that in terms of the liability issue, yeah, there's liability whenever you do anything. But I spent a lot of time with the agent for the insurance carrier for the Village of Fredonia, Wally Gatoka. He and I worked together many times in the past, very knowledgeable about insurance and liability things. And so what we were doing was with the application for someone to put in to sell, alcohol at these events, we tightened that application to prevent exactly what Trustee Britz is worried about.
So you have language in the provision to prevent what he's worried about?
Specifically, because that was a concern that was expressed to me by several people, that, mom and pop from up the block are gonna go over and get a quarter keg and wanna tap it in our park, okay? Or somebody else who doesn't have the experience of those things. So in order to address that concern and several other liability concerns, what we came up with is criterias for that application. Now, there's two parts to this law. The part that says where they create an objection, or they create an exception, and that's the law portion. But also the law says that just like a lot of our laws, the board is going to adopt rules and procedures, applications, things of that nature after the law is changed, because you can't do those things beforehand. But I also made them separate so they can be redone by resolution, so we can address any problems that do arise without having to go through the whole local law process again. Okay? And basically we came up with 5. And I came up with these after discussions with not only the former village attorney who was incidentally against this, okay, and I tried to address some of his concerns, also with the insurance company and also with some other actual liquor license holders. What we came up with is that in order to, now this is just for sales, all right, in order to be able to just go with the example of the Italian festival, to go over and sell, some wine in the park, the applicant has to have a valid New York State liquor license. Now, that's not an event permit, you have to have a valid New York State liquor license, which is over and above any type of event permit that you would get. The reason we did that is because we wanted experienced people, okay? And it's Mr. John, nodding his head. He knows the liability that goes with selling alcohol, all right? And so we wanted those experienced people. The other one that we put in was that in terms of the liability, there's always insurance issues. Now, the village has insurance and the festivals have insurance, but to be an applicant, to be considered, you also have to have general liability and legal coverage in the amount of $1 million in the aggregate, $2 million per occurrence, naming the village as the additional insured. So basically, this would be a third level of insurance to go, against any potential claims. Third, we had the applicant must have experience with such sales of alcoholic beverages, which can be verified by references. Again, we don't want, a couple of people to grab a quarter keg and come down here and tap that. That's not the idea. The idea was a regulated consumption like at the Italian festival. We want experience coming to the table. We don't want somebody to say, hey, you know what, that'd be a great idea to make a couple of bucks this weekend. Additionally, there were just logistically concerns, okay? ABC law requires if I'm going to sell liquor that I need to control the area in which it's consumed. That's why here in the state of New York you see things like beer tents, all right? We're not, it's not New Orleans where everybody, has a shot to go. It's a contained thing. That's state law. And the way it's done is to require a barrier around the specific area. Like you've seen, at beer tents, Erie County Fair, Merritt Winery has that area that's sectioned off. The reason that that is what that is they didn't, it's not that they thought it was a particularly great idea. New York state law requires them to do that as a condition of getting that, the permit that they, get to do that.
Is that
and
that,
fin-
was that be that 9-page right here permit from the New York State Liquor Authority that I showed you, or is that different? So I believe they also have to have that, that's it.
Okay, I'm not, Doug, we looked at so many things and it's been a while, I'm not quite sure what you showed me, I'm sorry. But the fifth one is that each applicant is responsible to comply with all New York state laws concerning the sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages. That's the catch-all, okay? And just like with the food truck applications, the idea that someone did not comply with New York State and we had some issues over it, pretty much guarantee you they're never gonna be selling in the park again, and this board has the ability to do that. I gave them that discretion. So we tried to find middle ground between the festivals and things that we want, while at the same time giving the discretion to the board, while at the same time, to the best of our ability, covering all the liability aspects.
It sounds to me like you did a fantastic job.
Well, thank you.
Incredible.
Put some time into it.
Mr. Brits, did you hear everything that you said?
Absolutely.
Does that satisfy your concerns regarding the liability issues?
Some.
So you said 3 million in total because of the liquor legal law, the liquor legal license, and the New York State license to sell alcohol. That's 3 million before they would ever get to the village.
Okay.
Correct? So,
Back up a second.
I'm not pointing at you, I'm just saying just generally. I'm sorry, I talk with my hands, Mayor, I apologize.
I'm sorry, I'm not
so-
sure that that's correct. What we're talking about is
Because if
basically
somebody
the
leaves an
standard.
incident and someone, unfortunately, in the very unfortunate event that somebody drives drunk and hits and kills somebody, I just want to know if you have a number generally, because from what I'm hearing, putting a $3 million price tag on the life of a loved one, most people, if they have a decent attorney, are going to say, sue them for a heck of a lot more than that. And I think that's what the concern is with the village. We did have an incident years ago with the Stockton Gala days, which we call that's no longer here. I know I'm old, and maybe some of you don't remember the Stockton Gala days. And I'm not trying to hang crepe here, but I think the concern that some of the trustees might have is the monetary liability. We just had Mr. Barris note about our infrastructure. We've got some big, heavy things coming up infrastructure-wise, and God forbid, somebody leave an event and somebody isn't responsible enough and they get behind a wheel and someone is killed. What happens then in terms of the coverage and liability for that happening? Because now you're looking at the village having to maybe pay millions of dollars that we don't have. And
Did the other trustees share that concern with Ms. Mann? Was she speaking for you? Could you guys speak for yourselves on that?
That's just
Is
in
that
that's just in what I've read in our charter and in what I've seen from Attorney Barr and what you guys have put out.
Yeah, I mean, in terms
Larry
of,
copied me in on that, so I'm just answering and speaking to what.
in terms of liability,
Yes.
okay, there's always liability. And you know that the village and any municipality sees the deep pockets, and if a plaintiff's attorney can try to get a quick settlement by throwing them in the mix. But I can tell you for 14 years I've been representing municipalities, and every time even you should get sued, generally you don't. And a lot of these other things that are taking place that you're worried about, there are so many different layers in the law. Like, let's give you an example. Let's say I go to the Italian festival, all right, and I am consuming wine at the Italian festival. First of all, the person that's selling it to me is not supposed to serve me if I'm visibly intoxicated. So that's one portion of that. Second of all, the village making this thing, basically, we're taking what's going on right now and we're giving ourselves some protection, because what's going on right now, whether it's just being the wink and a nod or, it's actually being turned a blind eye to the fact that the law is being ignored, there's our liability, okay? If I'm a police officer and I walk by somebody with an open container and I say, well, hell, it's a festival today, so I'm not going to enforce the open container law. If that person gets in the car and drives, there's your liability. The regulation and reasonable exceptions to the law helps us to insulate from that as well. The issue that, and I did with our insurance agent, I didn't just pull the 1 million, 2 million out of the air. I did talk with the insurance agent at Link. We had discussed 3.5. Okay, as another option. But the 1 million, 2 million at this point right now is fairly standard across the board. So it's believed that that is enough coverage, and that's right from our agent.
And I believe with the Stockton Gala days, they were allowed to sue every single volunteer fire department.
Because
in
that
Chautauqua
Stockton
County.
was selling the alcohol. That's what the issue was there, if I understood.
See, we're in no way, shape, or form engaging in the sale of alcohol, so that we're limiting a lot of liability there. But really, the liability is the impetus behind this, because the way it's being done right now does present liabilities that having it actually organized does not.
So passing this code would improve our protection against such liability that's currently going on.
Illegally.
That is absolutely my position, sir.
So we need to pass the code.
Subject to the will of the board. But
Or enforce the current laws.
Well,
Or enforce the current laws.
Okay, well, I mean,
Yes, please. Okay.
So, my name is Christopher Shep. I'm an executive board member of Festivals Fredonia, as well as a small business owner. And Mr. Brooks made a good point in that it is a college town, but right now, that's about all it is. We have college kids, they come here, they go to school, they leave. There's only two things that are going to keep people in this town. That's jobs or culture. Right now, the jobs aren't there. If we kill the culture, you're killing the town as well.
Thank you.
Again, I'm not here to argue. I'm just here to open conversation. I mean, this is what we're here to do. This is what makes a strong community. This is what brings our community together, is open communication. We have a very nice crowd here this evening that's pro this new code. That's great. We're opening conversation. There are people at home tonight that are probably watching TV and are probably texting me at this moment saying, no, Roger, say this, no, Roger, say this. So again, we need to have this open conversation. So I'm not closing doors on anything. I'm just allowing more time. And I know we're under some pressure right now with certain festivals. Is Russell Joy Park an option for these people to have their Italian festival?
It would be the same laws.
It would still be under the same, I know we can have,
practices at Russell Joy Park.
Yes.
can we grant a block party to these people? I mean, I know in our code, we're allowed to grant a block party to a certain neighborhood.
Could I make one comment though? You know, part of it's the electricity. You know, we're gonna have live music, we have Italian bands coming in, we have Italian dancers. Our intention was to bring people into the community.
Okay,
And
that's
we're-
understandable, but I'm saying we're under a time strain here, and this is a very touchy issue.
I know.
And I think the board and everyone in this community just needs some time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that it was brought up so late in the season. I mean, if this was open conversation back in November,
No, the conversation started in January.
well, I'm just saying, but that's still a short time. I mean, if we knew this law was being broken years ago, it should have been fixed then. But all of a sudden, the new administration comes in and, we get handed this. So, but you have to work with us too. I mean, I'm just speaking for other people in the village, and I was elected by the people of the village to listen to them and have their opinion.
And we've been patient,
I know you have, and I appreciate that.
Or anything like
Right.
that. And I didn't know what was gonna come out of the whole situation. I know that, as I'm talking to the wineries, I'm trying to say to them, well, don't give up on us, but don't spend any money yet.
That's fine.
And
There are things that have, and this has happened just recently. There are some issues that have come across the desk that, the cart was put before the horse. And again, we need time.
I'm not too sure.
I'm sorry?
I'm not too sure about the cart before the horse. This was.
I'm not talking about this specific thing. I'm just saying there are issues that have come across my desk since I've been here for 6 months that, kind of like, here, Raj, read this over. But we're not going to get into that tonight. We're here to discuss open communication in our village, and I think we need some time.
In 2 weeks, we're going to have the public hearing, the official, and the vote. Are you okay with that?
I'm fine with that. And I think that's probably ample time to get the word out on the street for people that have other concerns.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yes. Hi.
I'm Colleen McCullough. My husband and I own Southfield Press Bakery. I know I'm trying to push things, but 8 o'clock is bedtime, Gets up at 3:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So I just want to quickly just touch on something so that we could leave. But I know there's a proposal for a food truck. I love food trucks. I have no problem with food trucks. I know it's probably your food truck, right? Yeah. I have no problem with food trucks. We have great spots downtown if you want to open up. I have a thing with the brick and mortar, you know, we've been here almost 30 years. I just think there should be some consideration. It's hard to give the openness to, you know, that when, you know, others of us have spent 30 years developing,
Sure.
you know, a relationship, and the community's been very good to us, and so I just think we should figure out something for them, but it
I-
shouldn't be like an open thing
I
where.
I can assure you that was my committee, that's why I'm talking, that we took under consideration the people who have a brick and mortar business, as well as the rest of the community that want the food trucks to come.
Yeah, I would love to
So-
ditch my brick and mortar, my $1,500 rent, my tax, you know what I mean, and just, you know, get a truck, and my employees, hundreds through 30 years, but, you know, that's just kind of not what makes a community. Do you know what I mean, with the brick and mortar? Those people, day after day,
And
putting in their time.
we took under consideration that.
So I think, but
mean,
we should just try to figure out, we should try to figure out a way to, you know, have something for them. I was even thinking, you know, Ruckman's Building, you probably don't call it Ruckman's Building anymore, but it was called Ruckman's Building on Water Street and then now it's a window place.
I got a great idea for that, if you want to talk.
Well, but so to me, that's something the village or somebody should consider buying and turning it into like an open market where people like that could go.
And
where
we
you could
have
house
ideas
all
like
your
that,
Italian
yes.
festivals
I
and
mean,
your
Kara
stuff.
can have 10 ideas. See, every time I talk to her, she comes with ideas for everything, so.
Yeah, so
I
I'm just
appreciate
saying that that's our position
Yes,
on it, and
that's-
we just wanted to be represented.
ideas too, but nobody talks
So I don't think there's anything else I need to say.
Yes, but please take a look at the new proposed law.
I'm sorry.
Take a look at the new proposed law concerning the food trucks, and you will see there that we took under consideration, great consideration, the people who pay taxes, as well as the people who want to come just for that event, just to sell food out of the trucks. I think we should be accommodating to both, because, you know, my thing was, if we don't allow them in the village, they're going to stay outside. They're going to stay at the town. What's going to happen is people from this village are just going to drive out there, so the village downtown is not going to have anybody. So we're trying to do both
I
of
don't know,
them.
I don't know if I agree with that, Mayor, but they already drive up on Route 60. I mean.
That's why I want them to stop here. I don't want them to drive there. I want them down here, walking up and down, eating the
I
food.
don't know that that's the solution, Mayor. I'm not.
It worked in other
I've been here a long
places.
time, I put in a lot of footwork here, I kind of know the game, I know what's going on, you know what I mean? I don't think that's what's gonna keep people in the village. First of all, you need jobs and people to live, you know what I mean? That's gonna keep, you know.
Everybody says, you know, and we need jobs, but then jobs don't come by themselves. You create the environment. If we bring enough people to start working.
I've been creating environment for 30 years, Mayor.
Well, we need
I'm all
more
on
people like you.
I'm so environment out, pooped out.
Yeah, we need more
So-
people like you then, and we welcome you and everybody else who does the same work as you, because this is what we need. We need to make the downtown inviting to people from outside. I want new people to come. I want new people to stay here, to buy our houses, to walk in our
They
streets,
are,
and all
they
that.
are, and they come from Bemis, and they come from Chautauqua, and they come from quite a way. I think that's a separate issue than the food truck thing. I really do. You've got Fredonia festivals, you've got different things. We're very patient, the brick and mortars, for the other things where stuff gets taken away from, you know. We're very patient with farm festival when we have nowhere to park our people. You know what I mean? So we are patient with things.
I'm
you know.
sure, yes.
So just
Thank you.
consider that, and you know.
Absolutely.
You know,
Thank you.
That's hard.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry,
Can you stand up, please?
I have a preliminary question. Has the discussion moved on to the food trucks now?
No, the food truck's going to be in 2 weeks from now, because we're going very far. So we're going to have a public hearing in 2 weeks
I see.
for the food trucks
So
before we
when one has something to say regarding food trucks, one
You
may
can
not
say that, yes,
now.
please.
One can say that?
Yes, you can say that.
Okay.
More likely the same night we will be voting on those.
And where is
Uh,
the input from the brick and mortars before
Okay,
the vote?
I want this lady to finish her thought. She's standing up.
My name's Alexandra Holbrook. I noticed that, a resident of Fredonia, I noticed that other speakers have been giving their pedigrees here in Fredonia, so I'll give you mine. I've been here for 3 years. My husband got a job here at the college. We live here, we have a little girl, we bought a house. I'm a Canadian citizen. I've lived in the United States for 8 years, and my blood runs red and white. But when I came to Fredonia, against my expectations, this place became home. It's very important to me. The first year I was here, I gained 10 pounds because of the upper crust bakery.
We'll buy you 2 membership.
Thank you. I appreciate
The
that.
best in the world, actually, if you...
I believe it.
Yes.
I believe it. And so my understanding was that there was some concern about imposing fees on people who are going to bring food trucks into the area. And I guess I wanted to speak because I feel like I'm a good representative of somebody who really wants both, and I patronize the brick and mortars. I do. I bring my child with me, my husband with me. We go to the places that we like downtown. We can walk.
Sure.
We also go to the farmer's market, and you know that lady, I think she was going to fight me for those last 2 spring rolls on Saturday. I was really afraid, actually. So we really appreciate the occasional opportunities to have food that we don't normally have here. I moved from, the other cities I've lived in all my life were 100,000 people or more. I was really scared moving to a small town. But my sandals are still wet right now because I've been in the creek with my kid. I love living here, but it is really important to me that it be feasible and reasonable for people from outside who want to bring food trucks that bring us different cuisines to be here from time to time. And again, I do understand the brick and mortar. I feel that. When a brick and mortar moves out of the town, my stomach contracts.
It's a delicate balance that we have to be careful with the people who pay taxes and are here and actually are here, winter and summer and every other day and are part of our picture of our the one that we present to the world, and at the same time being inviting enough to other establishments from
So
that's why it's an open discussion. I think we put some very good measures there. I think everyone is going to be quite happy. But of course, in 2 weeks when we're going to have the public hearing, this is going to be open for everyone to put their input in.
thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm not sure if I can be here 2 weeks
Yeah,
from now,
no.
so I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Yes.
Frank to John. Good evening, trustees and mayor. There are 15 restaurants in Fredonia. We pay the taxes, insurance, water, sewer, electric, upkeep, give jobs, maintain our properties in and out. This is a village of approximately 10,000 plus people. With 15 restaurants, why do we need food trucks in our small village? That I'd like to know. This is not Buffalo, New York, where you got thousands and thousands and thousands. Whose idea was this? You have a lot of empty stores now, and in the future, I guarantee you will have more. If you had a restaurant, would you want food trucks in this village? I don't think so. And I don't think the college should have food trucks, but you can't fight the state of New York. The college pays no taxes, no water, no sewer, no nothing.
They pay water and sewer.
They do? Okay. Well, anyways, we, the Fredonia taxpayers, pay a lot. Let them come downtown to eat, not food trucks. If this was all your ideas to have food trucks in the village of Fredonia, you are all wrong. Let the restaurants that are here do the business. They're having trouble now. Every time there was food trucks in that park last year, the volume in a few places that I've heard of have went down that night. Business has moved out of the village. It's now on Route 20 and Route 60 and Vineyard Drive. Let Fredonia be the village that it is and keep food trucks out. We do not need them here. And we have approximately 15 restaurants in the village with the paying out wages and benefits. They're all going up, and we need to do all the business that we can. We don't need out-of-town food trucks. Please consider this matter and I thank you, Frank DeJohn.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yep,
All right.
here. Yes.
Oh, yes.
All right, Justin Minzak. I represent Sunisa, my partner, who's the owner of Siri Thai Cuisine. And I know we probably don't have enough time to address all my questions, but I've read the minutes or the proposal. I've watched the, I believe it was May 21st minutes, and I had various points of clarification I wanted to ask. So I was going to ask if I should bring it up in 2 weeks or I should bring it up right now.
In 2 weeks, don't find the public here. It's going to.
All right, and I would say that we are a local food truck. We actually live here, and I don't know if the new law would discriminate against those local food trucks versus those that are out of town from Buffalo.
Then open up a business and put $300,000 in the building instead of running around with a $75,000 food truck.
Okay, point of clarification. I might have read the village code wrong, but to run a restaurant, you have to actually own the property, right? You cannot rent
Yeah,
and
you
run a
can rent.
restaurant. So what's the difference?
You could rent it.
Yeah, so we have to pay rent as to other
Rent, what, you're paying $10 a month?
May I say something? There was a committee, a food truck committee, so would it be okay if people had concerns and they could address them with the committee? That might be an appropriate thing to do, if you can't wait or don't want to wait for 2 more weeks. Who was on the committee so that they could contact them?
Mr. Briggs,
Brad, you're on every committee.
And Brad is in every.
He's on every committee, and Dan.
Always go to Brad.
All right.
Brad's on every committee.
So if we have questions, I'll be glad to answer them later. So I can finish the meeting now. Okay. I can stay after to address them with you. Okay.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you.
Thank you. So reviewing resolution, oh no, we have the fire department, no, village trolley policy. Sorry, apologize for that. Is anything, everybody has that? Everybody's,
Yeah, this needs to be brought up. I typed something up and this wasn't put on tonight's agenda, maybe next week's.
okay.
Yeah, Dan said that he wanted to do something with that. I'd asked you to write a resolution for that.
Yeah, you and I spoke about that before, the food truck thing, but by the time we
Okay,
do
no
pre-file
problem.
resolutions, by the time we.
Next week, maybe?
That's my hope, Doug. It looks good the way it is.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we have the fire department report for May 2018. And let's review the resolutions. Liquor license renewal for Old Main Inn. I have the request from Joanne Mansfield to hold History Days on Friday, July the 13th, and Saturday, July the 14th, 2018. We have an application submitted by the Town of Pomfret Tax Assessor for tax correction for the property owned by Lynn Lawrence. I have a request from SUNY Fredonia Radio Systems for permission to hold annual Rock in the Commons on September the 22nd, 2018. I have an addition of 2 roles of Fenner Hose Company. I have seasonal hires for DPW. Schedule of meetings for July to December 2018. I have the NICOM payment. I have purchase of police vehicle approval. A bond resolution for the sewer cleaning truck for $350,000. A bond resolution, various water distribution lines, $1,431,700. Milling and paving schedule approved. We have a schedule of band concerts in the gazebo for 2018. Seasonal positions for the 2018 summer recreation program. And the new food truck law public hearing. Can we do the executive session at the end? Yes, let's go to the meeting. These ones. Wait for 2 minutes so everybody can go out.
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I call this meeting to order, a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia, duly called and held on the 11th day of June 2018 at 8:12 p.m. in the second floor Trustees Room, Village Hall, Fredonia, New York, and public notice of the time and place of this meeting has been given to the news media and conspicuously posted in one or more designated public locations in accordance with Section 104 of the Open Meetings Law.
Whereas members of this board present at this meeting have read the official minutes of the Board of Trustees regular meeting of May 14, 2018, special meeting of May 21, 2018, and regular meeting of May 29, 2018. Now therefore be it resolved, this board approves the minutes as entered into the official minutes, and be it further resolved that the reading of the minutes be dispensed with.
Are we be able to, do we have to amend that, or is that now considered okay? The minutes of May 21st, because it was not put on for a public hearing, but although we claimed it.
Right, the confusion
there was
about.
confusion, and so do we have to amend the minutes? For that 21st, or do we take it as is and now read?
I propose that we dispense with the reading of the minutes and the acceptance of the minutes and ask this to be approved at a later date.
He was going to speak on it.
Please, give your thought on this. We're not going to suspend.
Again, I'm sorry, I was listening
The
to.
issue is that the minutes did not reflect the understanding of the people and the board that it was a public hearing was called.
Right, that's correct. And you know what, the minutes were not correct, however, we're kind of making, it's like no harm, no foul, because what we're going to do is we're going to redo it at tonight's meeting. The tabling of the resolution for the hearing, at the public hearing at the next meeting. So it's totally up to the board how much they want to go into detail of amending the minutes.
Then I'll second that. Thank you.
Trustee Bice.
I vote no.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Thank you. Reports.
We have one report tonight, fire department report for the month of May. Total number of calls were 202 for the month. 126 were rescue and EMS, 26 were false alarms and false calls, 25 good intents, 10 fires, and 3 service calls, and 1 severe weather and natural disaster. And that's it for reports.
Thank you. Correspondence was received from Old Main Inn Incorporated, notifying the village that they will be renewing their on-premise liquor license for property located at 24 Water Street, Fredonia, New York. Correspondence was received from Joanne Mansfield, History Days Chair, on behalf of Festivals Fredonia, requesting the use of Barker Common on Friday, July the 13th, and Saturday, July 14th, 2018, for the Fredonia History Days.
Be it resolved that the request from Joanne Mansfield, Fredonia History Days Chairperson, on behalf of Festivals Fredonia, to hold the Fredonia History Days Festival is hereby approved for the use of Barker Common as follows. On Friday, July 13, 2018, 1, use of both sides of Barker Common, including the gazebo with access to power, for live music to be provided. Excuse me.
You want me to read the rest of it, Kara, for you?
Sure, that'll be okay.
Friday, July 13, 2018. Number 1, use of both sides of Barker Common, including the gazebo with access to power, for live music to be provided. 2, close Church Street from Center to Temple and Park Place from Church to West Main Street from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. to allow parking for a classic car show. 3, bag meters for all parking spaces around both sides of Barker Common, Friday, July 13, 2018 until 10 p.m. 4, use of municipal parking lots behind Main Street businesses for overnight parking for both Friday and Saturday. 5, to set up 2 to 3 porta johns in Village Hall parking lot for both Friday and Saturday. 6, to place picnic tables in West Barker Common for event use. 7, place trash receptacles barrels throughout Barker Common Saturday, July 14, 2018. Saturday, July 14, 2018. Number one, use both sides of Barker Common, including the gazebo, with access to power for live music to be provided. 2, close Church Street from Center to Temple, as well as Park Street from Church to West Main Street for children's activities and for food vendors from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. 3, bag meters for all parking spaces around both sides of Barker Common until 10 p.m. Be it further resolved that this request to suspend the open container law has not yet been determined, and be it further resolved that the above use of Barker Common and streets closing is subject to the direction of the Fredonia Police Department and the Department of Public Works, and be it further resolved that the Fredonia Fire Department and Fredonia Police Department be notified of the above closings, and be it further resolved that this resolution is subject to the receipt by the Village of Certificate of Insurance from the Festivals of Fredonia Committee, showing the Village of Fredonia as an additional insured in the amount of at least $1 million, which the village has received.
I vote aye.
Should I second that?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll second.
Trustee Barris.
I
Trustee,
vote aye.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Correspondence was received from the Town of Pomfret Tax Assessor Kevin Muldowney, notifying the board of a correction to the tax rolls because of an omission of the veterans exemption on property at 99 Seymour Street, owned by Arlene Lawrence.
Be it resolved, the Village Board of Trustees hereby approves an application submitted by the Town of Pomfret Tax Assessor for tax correction in the amount of $175.95 for the property owned by Arlene Lawrence at 99 Seymour Street, Fredonia, SBL number 130.06-2-37, and be it further resolved, the mayor is hereby authorized to sign said correction tax notice. The town assessor, Kevin Muldowney, has approved this correction.
I second the resolution. I vote aye.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Correspondence was received from Morgan Kaczynski, General Manager, Fredonia Radio Systems, requesting permission to use Barker Common and the gazebo on Saturday, September the 22nd, 2018, from 9 a.m. with setup at 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. for the annual Rocking the Commons charity event to benefit Roswell Park Cancer Institute of Buffalo.
Be it resolved that the permission is hereby granted to Morgan Kaczynski, General Manager, Fredonia Radio Systems, to use Barker Common and the gazebo for the annual Rockin' the Commons charity event to benefit Roswell Park Cancer Institute of Buffalo on Saturday, September 22nd, 2018, from 9 a.m., set up at 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., and that Church Street between Temple and Park Place be closed for perimeter performers and Chevetta's Chicken Barbecue. Be it further resolved that the above use of the gazebo is subject to the direction of the Fredonia Police Department. Be it further resolved that this resolution is subject to the receipt of a certificate of insurance naming the Village of Fredonia as an additional insured in the amount of $1 million.
I second.
Trustee Barris.
I vote aye.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Correspondence was received from the Secretary of the Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department to add Joshua Hortz to the active rolls.
Be it resolved that the name of Joshua Porch, Center Street, Fredonia, is hereby added to the active rolls of the Fenner Hose Company, effective immediately.
I second that.
I vote aye.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Have a public portion. Hard to think we have anything else.
You
So
can say
close
anything you
that.
wish.
Trustee Christina.
Be it resolved that Justin Borello, we're closing the public portion?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Be it resolved that Justin Borello, Summer Street, Fredonia, Ariel Rivera, West 2nd Street, Dunkirk, and John Roy, Waterman Road, Stockton, are hereby hired as seasonal laborers to work with the Department of Public Works at the state minimum hourly rate currently at $10.40, effective June 12, 2018, subject to civil service rules and regulations and with no other benefits to be given.
I second that.
Trustee
I
Barris.
vote aye.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Be it resolved that the schedule of meetings of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia for the period of July 2018 through December 2018, as set forth and attached to these minutes, is hereby approved, and be it further resolved that the village clerk is hereby authorized to publish said notice in the Observer and to mail a copy of said schedule to WDOE Radio, the Jamestown Post-Journal, and the Buffalo News.
Second that motion.
I vote aye.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Essex.
Yes.
Be it resolved that that the village pay $4,881 for its annual 2018 to 2019 membership dues to the New York State Conference of Mayors and Municipal Officials.
I second that.
I vote aye.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Essex.
Yes.
Be it resolved that the purchase of a 2018 Ford Taurus from DeLacy Ford Incorporated of Elma, New York, for the total sum of $27,115 with paint for use by the Fredonia Police Department is hereby approved.
I'll second that.
I vote aye.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Essex.
Yes.
You're up.
The attached resolution authorizing, subject to the permissive referendum, the purchase of a sewer cleaning truck for the Village of Fredonia, Chautauqua County, New York, at a maximum estimated cost of $350,000, and authorizing the issuance of $350,000 serial bonds of said village to pay the cost thereof.
Second.
I vote aye.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Essex.
Yes. The attached resolution authorizing, subject to the permissive referendum, the reconstruction of various water distribution lines in and for the Village of Fredonia, Chautauqua County, New York, at a maximum estimated cost of $1,431,700, and authorizing the issuance of $1,431,700 serial bonds of said village to pay the cost thereof.
I'll second that.
I vote aye.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Essex.
Yes. Be it resolved that the Village Streets Department is hereby authorized to do milling and paving of the attached schedule of streets at the cost of the work not to exceed the value of the CHIPS and Pave New York program available balance of $177,036.66.
I'll second that.
I vote aye.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Essex.
Yes.
Be it resolved that the following agreements are hereby approved for the 2018 Summer Band Concert schedule to be held in the gazebo from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. in the Barker Commons, to wit: June 27th, 2018, Rustic Ramblers; July 11th, 2018, Casadega Area Band; July 18th, 2018, Farina and Friends; July 25th, 2018, Dave Galindo; August 1st, 2018, New Horizons; August 8th, 2018, Dixiecrats; August 15th, 2018, Sunny Side Up; August 22nd, 2018, Wine and Whiskey; August 29th, supposed to read 2018, TPT, Mike Tuccio. Be it further resolved that the total amount to be spent for all the band concerts shall not exceed the sum of $3,750. And be it further resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized to sign said agreement on behalf of the Village of Fredonia.
I second that.
I vote aye.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Essex.
Yes.
Be it resolved that upon recommendation of Thomas Pataglia, Director, Fredonia Pomfret Recreation Department, the following individuals are hereby appointed to seasonal positions for the 2018 summer recreation programs effective immediately. Kayla Sullivan, 71 Cleveland Avenue. The summer coordinator. Her salary is $11.50 per hour. The remaining individuals will be paid $10.40 an hour. Stephen Aldrich, 336 Water Street. Kiara Carlson Ely, 5495 Lakeside Boulevard. Caleb Crampton, 30 Birchwood Drive. Nicholas Crampton, 30 Birchwood Drive. Zoya Kata, 9231 Spoden Road. Emma Lilly, 4790 Berry Road. Angela McCowiak, 194 Temple Street. Jacinda Mikas, 177 Liberty Street. Nicholas Miller, 124 Seymour Street. James Presbysian, 4688 West Main Road. Mackenzie Sheldon, 4238 Webster Road. Jackson Taylor, 250 Central Avenue. Jillian Valvo, 76 Cottage Street. Sarah Zinni, 143 Lambert Avenue.
I second that. Trustee-
I vote aye.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Essex.
Yes.
Are we tabling the next section?
Yeah, yes, but you read it, and at the end, there is the call for.
Okay.
public hearing.
Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia are desirous of amending the charter of the Village of Fredonia to provide an orderly and fair process for mobile food vehicles to operate within the village limits by adding Chapter 197 entitled Mobile Food Vehicles. And whereas proposed local law number 2 of 2018 of the Village of Fredonia entitled Mobile Food Vehicles has this day been laid upon the desk of the members of the Board of Trustees, and whereas said proposal, local law number 2 of 2018 reads as follows. 197-1 definition. A. Mobile food vehicle. A commercially manufactured, self-contained, motorized mobile food unit in which ready-to-eat food is cooked, wrapped, packaged, processed, and sold, including tow-behind trailers of any size. 197-2 licensing. It shall be unlawful to operate a mobile food vehicle within the geographical limits of the Village of Fredonia without having first obtained a license from the village. 197-3 application requirements. The Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia shall adopt by resolution requirements for obtaining a license to operate a mobile food vehicle. 197-4 fees. The board shall determine by resolution the fee for a license to operate a mobile food vehicle. 197-5 restrictions. The board shall determine by resolution such restrictions on the operation of mobile food vehicles which it is reasonably believed are necessary to protect the public safety and the interest of other food retailers within the village. 197-6 appeals. Any applicant having been denied a license to operate a mobile food vehicle may appeal said decision to the Board of Trustees, who will then grant or deny such appeal. 197-7 violations. Each violation of this chapter shall be punishable by a fine not exceeding $250 for each offense, or by imprisonment for a period of time not to exceed 15 days, or by both such fine and imprisonment. Such violations may also serve as grounds to revoke a license issued pursuant to this chapter, as well as the denial of future licensing. 197-8. I always get this, I get tongue-tied when I say this. Servability, is that right? Severability, thank you. If any provisions of this chapter, including any exceptions, part, phase, or term of any application, therefore be any person or circumstance is held invalid, the application to other persons or circumstances shall not be affected thereby, and the validity, thank you, of this chapter in any and all other aspects shall not be affected thereby. Section 1. This local law shall take an effect immediately upon filing the Secretary of State in the State of New York as required by law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the public hearing to be held before the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia on the 25th day of June 2018 at 7:30 p.m. at the Trustees Room, Village Hall, 911 Church Street, Fredonia, New York, to consider the question of the enactment of said proposed local and law. Got a law in there. Be it further resolved that the village clerk is hereby authorized to cause notice to the public hearing to be published in the Observer as required by law.
I second the resolution.
Trustee Barnes.
I vote aye.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Essex. No, we're not calling for the,
Trustee Essex.
1 second.
what is the alcohol?
Okay, wait, they're talking.
Yes, I'm just figuring it out here.
Oh, okay.
Did you vote yes on this last resolution?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I move that we adjourn.
No,
No,
No.
no, we can't.
we have one more motion.
Can't adjourn anyhow. We need to address the alcohol law here, amending the Chapter 81 of the Code of the Village of Fredonia. And I got what we had proposed, and I will read the last section there about the local law taking effect immediately thereof and calling for a public hearing.
Yes.
Okay. Local law amending Chapter 81 of the Code of the Village of Fredonia. Whereas the board has determined that the limited sale of consumption of alcohol can be allowed without frustrating the purpose of this chapter, now therefore be it resolved that Chapter 81 of the Fredonia Village Code entitled Alcoholic Beverages is hereby amended as follows. Add Section 81-7C exceptions. The board may, in its discretion, by resolution, suspend the provisions of this chapter in the designated area of the village for a designated public event. The board shall approve or deny by resolution all applications for alcohol sales under this exception and shall by resolution determine the requirements of such applications. This local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of the State of New York. Section 1, this local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the State of New York as required by law. Now therefore be it resolved that a public hearing be held before the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia on the 25th day of June, 2018 at 7:30 p.m. in Trustees Room, Village Hall, 9 to 11 Church Street, Fredonia, New York, to consider the question of the enactment of said proposed law, and be further resolved that the village clerk is hereby authorized to cause notice of the public hearing to be published in the Observer as required by law. I need to call for a motion to table.
Need a motion to table for the public hearing?
I make a motion for the table for the public hearing.
I thought we were calling for the public
We
hearing.
are calling for the public hearing. We're tabling the vote so that we could hold the public hearing.
That's correct.
Tabling the vote to
Yes,
approve.
we're tabling the resolution so that we can have a public hearing on the 25th. So what we need is one trustee just to make a motion to table.
So I made the motion to table.
And a second?
How is that any different than the last one we just passed, Dan?
It's not, Rick. I'm trying to limit some confusion here.
I think you just added a little confusion.
Well,
I know.
we read the last one as it was written, but he's relying on the same, what had happened in the last one, so that he's staying consistent with what had happened with the last one. Is that correct?
That's correct, Jim. I was going to try, we can do it either way, folks. It's just procedure.
I don't think we should table it. I think we should.
Just call for a public hearing.
The vote on the resolution needs to be
If I understand
tabled for a public
correctly, you
hearing.
read the law, so everybody knows the law, and then you table the vote for the law because you need to call public hearing. Is that
Yes.
the thought?
This isn't voting on the law, this is voting on the public hearing.
On the public
itself.
hearing. We're
Right.
voting on having the
No,
public hearing.
I understand
Approving
that,
the law.
but the way he's presented it,
What
I
I'm saying
understand
is
that.
one vote. We're tabling it for a public hearing. And so you announce the public
Okay, so you
hearing.
just kind of twisted things a little
Right.
bit, basically.
Okay.
but,
So
yeah.
we need a vote on this.
Okay, so.
So we vote on the
so we-
motion to table
To
for the
table
public
for a
hearing.
public hearing that we just announced.
That we just announced.
So it's
That's
the.
correct.
And it has been announced.
Yes.
And it will be on June 25th.
So I made the motion, we need a second.
7:30.
I'll second that.
Trustee
I
Barris.
vote aye.
Wait a minute, wait. I need to know, after he read it, what happened? Did somebody second that?
No, a motion was made to table it by Jim, correct?
To table
So
the
you-
vote tonight.
You read it,
And he
and
made a
then he
motion.
made a motion to table.
To table the vote.
Table the vote for the.
So
public
you
hearing.
tabled the vote
On
on
the
having a
resolu-
public meeting?
Yes.
No.
No.
That's what he just said.
No.
You're tabling the
That
vote
is not.
for the law.
Let's just read it like this. Let's just keep it like
Right, and
this.
That's what I
That's,
said. If
that's
you
the
just-
same thing I just read.
Right.
Right, exactly.
You don't need to-
just
you don't need to
read.
table it.
If you don't
There are
table it, you're
things
just
that
gonna
we
have.
don't
We're making an
resolution.
announcement
I
after we
understand,
had
but
read the law.
it's causing confusion, so let's have no confusion and just keep it like this, or we can't.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, so Doug read it,
So we need a.
someone needs to second it. As Doug read it.
Right.
I will
Because all
second.
that's doing, you're not voting on the law. you're
Right, we're
voting
just
on the
calling a public hearing in
Yeah,
2 weeks. I will second that.
Trustee Barris.
Did you already?
Yes.
Yes, so I'll
made the
second it.
motion to hold a public
Trustee-
hearing.
To hold a public
Christina.
hearing.
Right.
Yes,
You did it the same way I did it with the food truck.
right.
Aye.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Esser.
Yes.
It's
I
simple.
move to adjourn.
No.
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 Sorry, Mike.
I'm here to-
Not there
Denied.
yet.
Denied.
Not there
We have
yet.
an
So is
executive
that clear then? That's the same as the last one?
Yeah. You read it.
Kara seconded.
it, and it was unanimous.
That's correct.
Yeah, we put the ball in motion.
So,
Do we have executive session?
we
According to
need,
this, we do.
we have an executive, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Esser?
You need to make a motion to go into executive session?
Right.
Yes, there is a, yes, yeah.
I hereby make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss specific personnel and to discuss information regarding a legal matter related to criminal mischief of village property.
I'll second that.
Trustee Barris.
I vote aye.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Esser.
Yes.
Okay.